Hey, welcome everybody to the Kicked Out at 2 Dynamite review. I'm here with Chris. What's going on, Chris?
Not much. Currently don't have power right now, but we're at 100% right now on my laptop, so I think we'll be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I didn't introduce myself. You know, this is Quags coming at you from Philadelphia. Going to talk about some wrestling. Sharb, Eric is still out doing secret missions in the American West, so he'll be back with us soon. But right now, and we'll hear from him at the end of the show, actually. So yeah,
Nice.
let's get
Nice.
into it.
Yep.
All right, so AEW for Wednesday, May 12th at Daly's Place. I was going to say as always, but they are going to go on tour next
Let's
month.
go.
Very
Let's
exciting.
go. Yep.
Yeah, so to kick us off, we had Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP US Championship. And very brooding match, back and forth. Nagata's an older guy, so a little bit slower of a pace, but still delivered. However, Moxley won at the end with the paradigm shift. They bowed to each other in a show of mutual respect. What did you think, Chris?
I thought this was good. Like, I was kind of skeptical at first. I know Eric was like really into it, but like it was kind of tough to follow like everything. I kind of was ragging on like, oh, there's so many like kind of prop belts almost. Like, not saying this one's a prop belt, but there's so many things going on. And like I had no idea who this guy is. I thought the announcers did a really good job of explaining what's going on. That's probably like a big highlight that the announcers like kind of get. That's a thankless job, is like kind of don't notice if they do well, but we definitely notice if they don't do well. So hats off to the announcers in this one. And Mox coming out to Wild Thing.
Oof.
Honestly, these are big payoffs with these, like paying for these songs. Sometimes, like if you just associate that kind of that puts him like on another like level a little bit, as in like, okay, it's just not some generic guy anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
Moxley's Moxley, but honestly, I could see why Yuki guy is very well respected. It kind of like they told that type of match, as in like I think Moxley is a pro. He always kind of used to do the same thing, kind of the brawling type, but
Mm-hmm.
he kind of gave a lot of respect to Yugi, and basically they were just kind of having this New Japan match. I remember Eric would show me like some pretty cool New Japan matches that I was interested in, and it kind of reminded me of that. So I thought, and also Dynamite being Dynamite, they know how to start. They know how to start the hour like
Yep.
immediately.
Yeah, it was awesome. Loved the like drag them down rough style that this was. And it allowed Nagata to shine, I think, even being an older guy. They only got in trouble when they did like one or two high spots that I thought didn't really work, but that's
Right.
nitpicking. Overall, this was really strong. Totally agree with the song choice. That was one of the things I walked away with the most, I think, even from the whole episode, was how cool it is that they're doing that for some of their stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it sets them apart. Yeah, the announcers did do a great job of explaining it, and good back and forth. Really tough match and fun to watch. So I'm a fan. All looked good.
Yes.
All right, so then we had an Inner Circle promo. We only had Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Sammy. As Santana is in jail for stabbing MJF,
Oh boy.
and Jericho broke his elbow. They warned the Pinnacle they will never stop. I thought this was okay. I didn't maybe need it right away. Like, we could have let this simmer for a while, especially knowing that the Pinnacle is going to be on later, and we know what happened later, or we'll get
Right.
into it. But yeah.
Um, to be honest, I thought it started off okay, as in like,
Mm.
well, how they lost and not making them look bad. Like, I thought that was fine. The fork thing bothered me a lot, though. I was confused. Like, you're talking about, like, I get it. Like, I like that part of the match a lot. Like, I know that's a very old school thing with they're paying homage
Yeah.
to, what was it, Abdullah the Butcher. He used to be like this big like pro wrestling guy, and that was like his
Hmm.
signature like thing, bringing out the fork. So like I like when they do like the old school stuff, and that's getting like really like pro wrestling on you.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm trying to think of just suspending your belief. This MJF, they kind of had that ending, like I know the whole crash pad thing, but the prelude to that, like showing that MJF's crazy, saying I'm going to throw him off the cage or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh
Right.
yeah, I arrested Santana because he stabbed me with a fork, but I also threw this guy off like a 20. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
very
I
confused by that.
I agree. For me, the bigger thing is just like kind of hitting us over the head with this. Like,
Yeah.
I think sometimes after a big blow off, like just let the winning team gloat. We don't need to get back into it right away.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was kind of weird that they just came on right away, like especially after they beat them down the first time that they got as a group
Yeah,
together, and then they just had this monster of a cage match, and then they're like, "Nah, we're here next week" or something like that. It's just weird.
yeah. All right. Next, we had Cody come out and basically challenge a go-go to a fight. A lot of cheap heat about being a American patriot to a go-go being from England. And he said he's going to be wrestling as the American Dream for one night only.
Cody's great on the mic. Like everything he says with vindication and everything, like kind of like, and it's also like 100% like of everything that he believes in. He like preludes that into the mic. It's just I guess, and he delivers it so well. But it was just hard to kind of take it all in when like we ragged on a go-go so much in the beginning of like, why is he with this factory group? Like if a go-go was just either by himself or maybe aligned himself with maybe other foreign guys or whatever, I could now get behind it. Like that's a pretty pro wrestling easy story 101. It's like, oh, here comes the foreign guy. He's gonna talk shit about America. And then who's gonna be the American hero? Who's gonna be that guy that's gonna put him in his place or whatever? So the start of it with this feud was weird to me. So that's why I'm like, it's hard to like, everything said about America was great, but it's hard to like take everything where I'm like, but it just seems so out of left field with this Ogogo guy, like from the start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think, I mean, this is a tough thing. It is cheap heat to be like, I'm a patriot and I'm going to beat up this foreigner, which, okay, that's fine. I thought like then Cody started tackling all these issues like about equality
a lot of
and
issues. I was like, whoa, all right.
and
I just wanted to watch wrestling.
and like it's, I mean, I'm fine with that, but mixed in with all this other stuff, it was just a little bit like too much. They were trying to do too much, and um it's like an old school white face America promo, but with like progressive values, which is fine, but it was just like it didn't really work. I don't think it. But the thing is, Cody is so compelling. I think
Yes.
like he delivered it with so much passion. Like he really went for it. You know, we got people to buy in. You know, I don't know. I know Sharb hated this. I did text him about it a little bit.
Oh,
I think
really?
that's just. I think that's just the. That's just the premise of being the patriot and then getting into all this stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. That was followed by SCU cutting a promo, followed by the match with the Young Bucks. Went back and forth a lot. At one point, we had a Styles clash. We had Daniels get totally busted open on the quote unquote ring post. And then ultimately, the Bucks won with a BTE trigger. Kazarian could not get back in to break up the pin because that had been happening a lot. Both teams had been breaking up the pin on the others. And then so upset about what the Bucks did, Moxley and Kingston went and tore up the Elite's locker
room. Honestly,
this was like I think one of the best matches I can remember.
Oh seeing. Yeah,
just really awesome booking. The bleeding on the shoes, the wrestling was incredible. Callis on commentary was incredible, kind of upping SCU and then saying, but I don't know how long they can go at this pace. You know, they're old guys. Love the story that there was something at risk. Honestly, they could have, you know, I respect them breaking up and maybe they just threw everything they had into this, but they look so good.
Yeah,
they look so good. I'm almost sad that they're not going to be wrestling as a tag team anymore. Loved the Styles clash. That I really popped for that, knowing their history with AJ and everything. Some of the distractions I thought was a little too much because the wrestling was so good that, and the booking was so good besides some of like the Good Brothers distractions. But all in all, man, that is just nitpicking. This is awesome. The Bucks as heels, I feel like they're better all the time. Looking at the hard cam, kind of peacocking around the ring. Their tag team moves are incredible, as are SCUs, and you can really see when these are real tag teams that have been tagging for forever, and just their whole move set and everything is in sync. So I was over the moon about this one.
Yeah, from bell to bell, this match was amazing. You could tell that they had like years under their belt knowing exactly what they were doing. Like even from like kind of the beginning, they knew what they were building up towards. And I thought that was great. And then they even had like they were making fun of like the HBK and Ric Flair like
Right.
super kick WrestleMania. And I was just like, this is like so good to like like not poke fun as in like that was such a good like WrestleMania moment, but this is also such a good wrestling moment of like getting over the Young Bucks as like gigantic heels and feeling
Right.
so bad for Daniels and Kazarian. I was honestly not an SCU fan in the beginning, and I didn't really like them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were kind of like they had their time, and I was like push these new guys or whatever. But then after their like awesome promo and this awesome match, I'm like I'm gonna kind of miss them. I'm like I should have said that from the beginning. It's kind of weird now.
I know.
Like, but the match was so good. You just everything kind of said from bell to bell. I was confused though at the end why they didn't really milk Daniels and Kazarian like embracing. Like, you know what I mean? They kind of
Yeah,
cut that really
they went
quickly.
to commercial and then they cut back and it was really quick. I agree, that was strange that they didn't put
Yeah,
more towards that.
it's kind of weird. I know that they're all kind of show and stuff like that. Like they have time limits and stuff, so maybe they had to because like as we get on later in the show, like it made sense of what Mox and Kingston did. And first of all, like just throwing the tables and like I didn't love it so much. I was just like that locker room didn't like look anything like neat or like clean or even a
Yeah,
different. It just looked a little
yeah,
bit messy. Like I wouldn't be that
I
upset.
I agree. And you could see he picked up the Jaguars helmet at one point and like didn't really throw it because I feel like he was like, oh, I better not throw
Yeah,
this Jaguars
imagine
helmet.
if it's some guy's like real helmet. But
Yeah.
again, bell to
Um,
bell match was amazing.
absolutely. All right. Next we had Christian Cage cutting a promo, and Matt Sydal interrupted him and said that he's going to wrestle him next week. Also, just fit in there that AEW has a Money in the Bank now. Basically,
Yeah.
whoever wins the giant match next week has a title shot whenever they want it. This is fine. I'm all for Money in the Bank. I think that's like one of the best
Didn't they
things
say they
that
have like it was like a casino battle royal, right?
that's what it is. Yeah, it's a battle
Yeah. Okay.
royal,
So
and
that's
then
only yeah.
whoever wins has a title shot. I think it's a great device because
Yes.
once you have somebody that has that, every pay-per-view becomes a little more interesting. I mean, honestly, every match with the champ becomes a little more interesting because they can just run in and take it.
Okay.
But
I didn't even think about it like that. I didn't know if they like it was like a money in the bank type of scenario, but it could be. That's interesting.
oh, I guess you're saying maybe they can't cash it in at any time. I
Like, you
I
know
just
what I mean?
assumed.
But like they just picked the date. But no, like that's I didn't
I
think about that. And that actually could work like that because like other companies have done that now. Like WWE did it first, but
yeah,
the other companies have like gone and done it.
I just love the idea too that you have to carry around this contract everywhere you go. Like, and then there has been photos I know in the past because just thinking Seth Rollins held the briefcase for so
Yeah.
long, almost the whole year, of him like in the airport with luggage and literally with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I just think that's
Yeah.
just so funny. That's one of those great like wrestling real life crossover moments.
Yes.
Okay, next we had Orange Cassidy and Pac uh, going at it, and you know, so we'll say what happened in kayfabe, and then we'll go from there. So Orange
Mhm.
Cassidy kind of looked like he took a pretty hard bump, and Kenny ran in, knocked over. Well, Don Callis distracted, then Kenny came through and knocked out Pac with the belt, leaving both men incapacitated. There was a 10 count, but then instead of Kenny getting the night off at Double or Nothing, now he's going to have to face both of them in a triple threat match. So in real life, we know that, or the reporting is that Orange Cassidy basically either got concussed or wasn't totally with it for a minute there. It might not have even been the power bomb. It was the kick before
Yeah. I
that
think
got
so.
him. And so Aubrey called an audible. They went to commercial, and then they figured out what they were going to do. However, apparently it was always supposed to be a triple threat match, which I'm into that. Yeah. So your take?
Um, I actually really enjoy the triple threat match. I mean, Orange Cassidy, I'm glad that they're pushing him as going to be like a main event guy now, because that's what they started with from the beginning. So along they continue that story. I hate when like they do something like, oh, he's got such a big win, and then he goes back to the same exact thing he was doing before. So I'm glad that he's moving on and stuff. Right from the beginning. So we got Wild Thing from John Moxley, and then we got Where's My Mind with
That's
Orange
the jam.
Cassidy. It's like music and the pro wrestling stuff. I do kind of pop huge for that because it does elevate their like star status so much. I was just like, these guys are like
Oh yeah.
really cool to me now. I like Orange Cassidy. Like I've always liked him like from the start, but now like he's kind of evolving. Like he's still keeping true to his like gimmick, but he's not relying
Hmm.
on it as in being lazy, as in like, okay, I'm going to be this lazy approach constantly because it was going to get old. But now, like the way how I say he
Yeah.
evolves is that when he does like the slow hands thing or whatever, you don't know if he's going to like come at you really quickly or if he's just going to continue that shtick again. So he's making, and it kind of adds a little bit of realism to the point of he keeps the opponent guessing at that point. So I'm like, okay, at least like it makes sense of what you're doing wrestling a match instead of making it a complete joke, which is great.
Yeah.
I thought the audible was pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if Kenny was going to run out and do that anyway. Wait, I just want to say
Mhm.
with the match, I feel like their styles really match up well.
Yes.
Everything you said about Orange style and Pac is really hard hitting. I mean, he would have fit in, I guess, kind of with that first match, but
Too
he's
hard
also
hitting,
high,
apparently.
apparently, yeah. But he's also high flying, so he
Yes.
can do all those sick moves on the rope, but he can also make it seem like he's really beating the other person up, which looks really good. And yeah, the way that Orange has evolved has been awesome. I mean, where he doesn't need to power up every match,
Right.
where, sometimes he knows to go right in and start really fast. Other times he kind of taunts the guy. Where it almost seems like his gimmick has become a part of his repertoire if he was
Yes.
actually a prize fighter. Um, yeah, so as far as the pivot, I think Kenny was probably going to come in anyway with the belt because he was all dressed up and ready to
Yeah, he's
go.
ready.
So
Yeah.
I just think that was probably going to happen maybe 5 minutes later or whatever it was. But that was scary for a minute. I mean, when Orange rolled out on the ground, I was like, oh, is he going to get back up at all? But then he got back in, and that's when I was kind of like, did he get a concussion? Did he just get his bell rung a little bit? I don't know, but yeah, I thought they handled it well. Putting Tony Schiavone out there to be like, I just heard from Tony Khan, it's going to be a triple threat match.
I mean, I even rewinded it because I thought I missed something. I thought maybe it skipped something. I'm like, what happened to like Orange or whatever? But like the
Yeah,
match was still good. I actually still really enjoy this
I know.
match. Like you
Yeah,
said, that like their styles match up so great, and it was also like kind of like they do have a history. That was like Orange Cassidy's like first match, right? It was against Pac, and like they made
yep,
this whole big shtick of like he's gonna try or whatever. I even liked
right.
when he does like and I just remember this from like his first match at the Revolution pay-per-view when Pac was on the top rope and Orange Cassidy just casually just rolls away, and like the whole arena was erupting at that. So then they did it again, like in a little slower tone. But I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool that they do that again because that was such a big thing last time, whatever. But I'm really
Hmm.
excited for the triple threat match. Honestly, I wasn't even that excited of like who Kenny is going to verse. Like verse Pac, I just know it's gonna be a good match. But now AEW never does triple threat like
Yeah,
these matches at all. So I was just like, all right, this is good. This is finally something that they needed. And like I heard that they wanted to do that double time limit draw or whatever.
time limit. Right.
They did that before. So like you can
Hmm.
I know they don't like doing these faulty, phony like finishes or whatever, but I mean like to get that three-way match to have a different dynamic, I'm okay with it. I enjoyed a lot of this match.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the match was good, we should say, before everything went down, but and they handled it.
Yep.
Um, all right. So then the Elite was seen in their locker room, the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. By the way, I got to shout out Carl, the Good Brothers Summer tank top. That was amazing. Um, it sounded like the sound was off for this, and this made me also wonder if this was ad hoc a little
Oh,
bit.
thank God. I thought that was me again. I was just like on my remote. I was like, is there something wrong with this?
Yeah, well, the sound was what made me think it, that they were just like, get a camera in there and they had mic'd everyone up or something. I don't know,
Probably.
but I don't really know how that works. But that was my guess. Either way, I actually thought it was a good little promo for the Bucks, especially if we're grading on a curve. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see Kingston and Mox against them. That'll be good.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. I think heel Matt is hilarious. Like honestly, I was just cracking up because we used to rag on his promos so much or whatever, and it was just like so kind of corny and boring or whatever. And then like he comes out and just starts like, ooh, they're versing the Varsity Blondes next week. So he's just like, oh, you're gonna like pay homage to your dad or something. And I was like, oh my God, what a dick.
Yeah,
That's so like
it
funny
is
though.
funny. It seems like when they're heels, a lot of that comes through in a better way. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I never really saw them do a run as heels, so I'm definitely enjoying that.
Yeah.
All right, then we cut to Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order. Page cut a promo that said he wanted to get a rematch with Brian Cage. And there was a couple jokes in there where he said it'll be double or nothing. And Johnny Hungies said,
Oh
wow,
my
did you
God.
plan that?
Yeah, he kills it every time. I
So
honestly start just dying. I was just like, just get this guy on TV no matter what. If he's wrestling or not wrestling, just get him on TV. He is so funny.
yeah, he's funny. This is a good promo. I'm amped for the match too. Their first match I thought was good, and I was expecting Page to not dominate him, but to kind of win pretty handedly. So now without Team Taz around, I wonder what will happen. Very
Do you,
exciting.
so as like I know you're probably like the biggest Page fan that I know. Do you think this should be for the FTW belt though? Do you think it would
It's
be a
for the
good?
belt.
No, I was
Uh,
asking, should it be? I don't think it
oh,
is, but don't you think that would have been a good opportunity to kind of do something with that? Because the only thing he's doing, at least Cages, is just carrying it. There's no
it
point of
is.
it.
It is strange, I will say, that all these guys have belts from different promotions and they're starting to work them in more
Mm-hmm.
here and there. But yeah, so people should be challenging for them. I agree with that. If they're going to have a match, especially if it's going to be a rematch, a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my thinking: maybe they'll have a third match, and Paige
Oh,
will say,
put
or
that belt
Cage will,
online.
yeah, that
I could
maybe
see
that'll
that.
happen.
I
I also
mean,
want, I mean,
yeah.
I want Paige to be in the title picture, man. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I know you do. They're definitely saving that for a
yeah,
huge moment. I think they're waiting for like, hey, we need fans there, and like, because they're gonna get like full capacity fans at their next pay per view. I think they're gonna see how that goes. I think they're just like waiting to like kind of pop off that fuse. It's gonna happen. It has to.
yeah, for sure. All right, then we had the coronation of the Pinnacle. I'm honestly not going to run down this blow by blow. Basically, MJF cut a promo, Tully cut a promo, and then surprise, surprise, the inner circle rolled out with a giant truck that was full of champagne and sprayed it at them, Kurt Angle milk, Steve Austin beer
Yep.
style, at the Pinnacle. Um, yeah, so I don't know. You go first, actually.
it I didn't hate this. I know spoiler alert for when we add Eric's tidbit in, he did not like this. And me and Eric kind of went back and forth on it, which is fine. I think like yeah, after their big match, I do get it. Like the blood and guts, like that's supposed to be a very serious thing, whatever. But the heels won. I think they deserve to be braggadocious, like as in like they could come in, joke around like a little bit, as in like you want to kind of not like them. So he wears this stupid crown because like he said, like I'll carry that. Like they played on words so many times for that. Um, it,
Hmm.
they've been hitting it out of the park so many times with their segments. Like we loved it. So I think what I was excited about seeing Pinnacle Coronation, I'm like, oh, these guys always do well. I'm excited for this. And I think I set too high expectations for it because like they came in and you could just see Sammy like this. And then I'm just thinking like they know they're gonna get like they know what's gonna happen. And then I
Yeah,
didn't know that was Jericho that was kind of like peaking, whatever. That was bad. Like I was just like,
yeah. Also, okay. So I thought the Pinnacle part was okay. I thought like we got 5 beautiful women here. I thought that was kind of in poor taste, honestly. If I'm just being
totally rambled.
My prude.
Eric
Yes.
hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, he definitely was kind of going on and on. I did like the Sean Spears Canadian hero thing because I feel like Sean Spears has got a little momentum, so I like MJF calling him out for that.
He needs it.
Okay, so after that, yeah, it kind of went downhill after MJF's bit.
Yeah,
honestly, the inner circle coming in, it was silly, and this is what we were saying in the text thread, is that this is going back and forth from, is this a serious feud where they're gonna we need to get killed before we back down, or is it kind of funny, like spraying champagne at them? And Jericho just got hurt. Like, go off TV for a while. Now, I mean, that's kind of, I hate when someone's not there and they're only not there for the first like hour and a half. It's not that big much of a surprise. Number one, you can see him crouching in the thing, but it's not that big of a surprise when he comes back. He was on the last episode, he's on this episode. So that's my criticism. Forgot to mention, the main point of this whole segment was that now there's a Stadium Stampede 2, which I love that they're doing that. And I also love that they're playing on Double or Nothing with both the Hangman Page, Brian Cage match and this one. But that they're also setting the bar really high. That Stadium Stampede match is beloved. So
so
I mean, it helps that it'll be pre-taped, but I mean, you would assume. But also, it's a high bar to clear. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And the inner circle has to disband.
If they lose. So like that makes me think that they should win, or maybe they kind of don't, like they want to have the slowest course. I don't know if they keep going. I'm excited for the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be awesome. I mean, there's a million schmozzy ways you can get through it, but we'll see.
Yeah. I was like confused because like they did Blood and Guts, that the big blow off, and now they're doing like, okay, we're doing Stadium Stampede, and I was like kind of pumped for that. This will kind of not saved it. It made me like it a little bit more than maybe someone like Eric did, because I was like, okay, that payoff though, I'm really excited to see these guys in the Stadium Stampede match. But like, should have they done the Stadium Stampede first and then, like, because usually you would think the big War Games type match is like the blow off, but they did it reversely. I don't know, like, but we get a Stadium Stampede out of it. I'm not going to nitpick that. I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Khan definitely thinks through this stuff with booking. I mean, we know that he does that. So sometimes does he overthink himself? I guess we'll see, because what is the sequence wrong with this?
Right.
I don't know. Okay, so next we had a Britt Baker interview with Jim Ross. I just have, what a journey we've been on with her, and she rules.
She's good, dude. She absolutely needs to win. Like, I don't even care if it's like a 5-star match. If she loses, I still think that's like a loss for them. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I think it's done great. And I think this is actually one of her best interviews, because she adds realism to, like, makes a lot of sense. She didn't make us feel stupid. We knew the women's division was struggling. We said it on the podcast so many times about, like, every time there's a women's match, I'm like, all right. And then we kind of scoffed it off, not saying that they're not working hard. It's just, it wasn't really compelling on television.
There was no story. They had no stories. Yeah.
And then,
or limited.
Who said this? Oh, it was actually Chris Jericho who said this in an interview, and Britt Baker kind of said the same sentiment, or gave the same idea. Jericho said, if you're like in a feud with someone, you shouldn't tell people why they suck so much, because then it doesn't make it a big deal when you beat them, saying, oh, well, you told us they suck so much. Like, who cares? Britt Baker is doing the same thing. She was giving props to Shida, saying that, like, she's great. She carried this division during like a tough time, the pandemic time. She was carrying the division when I was out. A lot of people were injured. She was going through, and then she's like, she's good. She's good. I'm better. Like, I like that idea, as in, like, okay, these two are gonna, like, they made it feel way more important. I think Britt Baker's doing a great job, and she ended off with your favorite, the DMD.
Yeah, and I like that she has the DMD shirt now, and her bloody face is just in the M, so that you don't look like a total psycho if you wear it. Honestly, I was like, maybe I should get that. I mean, this bleeds right into the match with Thunder Rosa, who is climbing up the ranks, and
Mhm.
surprise, surprise, I can almost guarantee you she's going to be the first challenger for Brit, and I'll bet you they have a nice little program.
That'll be good.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that match. I don't know if you do, but basically it's very clear to me that that's what they're setting up.
That's exactly what I thought of, and they need to sign her.
Yeah. Although I don't know what's going on with the NWO belt too. There's another thing that's just kind
NWA
of like
belt.
another championship. NWA, sorry, NWO.
But like, yeah, I kind of hope that they just kind of finish that out. I think like I even read that Thunder Rosa like promised the NWA like certain dates and stuff like that. So I could see that she's like, okay, she's honoring her agreement. That's fine. Just finish what you got to finish, just so we could focus on one thing. I got this IWGP US belt, I got this NWA belt, we got this FTW. Like, clear the smoke and mirrors, guys. Let's.
Yeah, like sometimes we need to get past that. I'm sure they have like a 2-year plan, by the way, but we'll see. Sure. Okay, then we had Jade Cargill. Cargill. Hold on, now I have to Google
Cargill.
Jade. There's no D. There's no D.
No D.
It always sounds like they say it.
They say it quick.
Her doing another interview talking about a manager. I'm kind of sick of this at this point. Like, I'm ready for something else to happen, or for her to wrestle.
It's the same thing.
And also, like, I love her. Don't get me wrong, but this is too much. Also, like, if you don't want a manager, then why do you want a manager? Just stop interviewing managers. It's a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it pays off. But right now, I'm over it. I'm done. Time for something new.
Something new. If it's the same thing, if we get a good payoff of like, if it's just like a really cool manager or someone coming out of the woodwork or something like that, or a new character, fine. But yeah, we're getting repetitive here.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think that's what they're building towards, is something like that.
Right.
All right. Then we had our main event for the TNT Championship. Before that, Darby was driving around in a promo. Very cool. It did feel like a send-off. He's defended 9 times. So Darby versus Miro. Good match, back and forth. Miro beat him up heavy in the beginning. And Darby already was nursing that injury from getting thrown down 2 flights of concrete stairs. However, he did turn it around, had a really good run in the middle. Pretty chaotic ending. Ultimately, Miro did win the TNT Championship, and now he is the new champion. Oh, and at the end, we had your boy All Ego and my boy Scorpio Sky attacking Sting and Darby before the Dark Order came out and defended them. Kick it off for us.
I really enjoyed this match. Honestly, finally we get this Miro. I think we've been waiting for this guy for a while. Honestly, like everything he was doing was just like vicious. And as soon as they announced this match, we were all pretty pumped for it because we knew how Darby likes wrestling, takes a beating and then comes back, and Miro likes to give beatings and then like kind of build. He's very good. Honestly, if people like a casual who says like, hey, I just want to see like a pro wrestler or whatever, I'd probably like Miro's a good option, as in like, here you go. And like, I would show this type of match, a guy screaming in the camera, just yelling, just doing like weird stuff or whatever. It's just like, it is over the top, but not so over the top that's like insanely like stupid.
Honestly, this match specifically, because it's somebody that looks crazy, Sting's kind of in there, and good flow to it. Beats him up like, oh yeah, he's a heel, so he's gonna beat him up before.
Yeah. I think like even in the beginning, like they made the match important. I love like, and Eric was probably a really big fan of it, the Darby Allin like short videos of just he's very like serious of like it, and it's short and sweet to the point. Calls Miro generic, like they have like this feud kind of like, okay, Miro's just gonna make fun of him as in like, oh, you're just a guy that gets beat up, and then Darby came out and just saying you're just some generic underwhelming guy or whatever. And I even like that, like Miro screaming the camera, like he is.
Oh, I'm underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I underwhelming?
I'm like, oh, that's compelling. That's funny. When Darby did that like suicide dive cannonball, whatever, I was like, he like threw his whole body weight at his head.
He pinged off him too. Like it was literally like a pinball.
I was just
Yeah.
like, geez. I was like, he has no like. It's just 0 to 100 from there, and I actually liked that it wasn't a screwy finish, as in I thought that was going to happen.
Hmm.
Even though it
Hmm.
was kind of weird that Sky and Page just kind of like attacked Sting, and then they left, and then Sting got up. He's like, all right, I'm still just gonna sit here. Or whatever. It was just like, I guess that was like the only odd thing. But I actually really, really enjoyed this match, and it was actually hilarious. Like there was like one point, like I coach this wrestling club, and I was actually showing gut wrenches, and they actually suck if like someone's doing it to you. So when Miro was like gut wrenching Darby and he's
Yeah.
rolling around, I was laughing. I was like, I just showed that today, and then it sucks to
It's like a
get
real move.
yeah, it takes the wind out of you. So it's pretty funny how that goes. But like even Darby, he's a good storyteller. I liked how like he literally looked like he's going through the woodwork and just
Oh
looks
yeah.
at Sting and just like just fist bumps him and just says like, all right, we'll keep going, and then starts just swinging at Miro. Miro's like being this crazy monster or whatever. I thought this was a great storytelling of how they did this.
Yeah, totally agree. Good use of the injury too, I thought. My only criticism was a couple like false finishes, craziness at the end made me feel like they almost didn't have confidence in their storytelling.
Mhm.
Um, however this is booked or whoever booked it. I mean, I get Darby always does that to win usually
Mhm.
at the end, like the big rush at the end and pulls off a finish. But I would have preferred if this was like Brock Lesnar and John Cena at SummerSlam, where it was just straight away beat the crap out of
Just be
them.
out of the crowd. So I
well
don't know.
well hold on, with the little run in the middle. I thought the run in
Yeah.
the middle was fine, but I thought the ending was maybe a little too much, where um I don't know, like they have that much left in the tank. Like it
Yeah.
almost looked like Miro sneaked it out at the end, squeaked it out.
It's
I don't know.
weird because they really are high on Darby. So they want to make sure if he's
Right.
losing, especially by like passing out to a submission, they want to make sure he doesn't look like a chump doing it, which I
Well,
thought they did
right,
fine.
right there,
Yeah.
losing by passing out. Like you're not
Yeah.
tapping out and you're not getting pinned. I mean,
Right. So it's kind of
mhm.
like they made sure that he looks good in that. I was worried in the beginning though. Like I liked that Miro attacked him before the bell and just started throwing him around like as if he was nothing, whatever. And I like how he's just screaming at the ref, just saying ring the bell, whatever. And then it's building up to more of Darby being an underdog. He's saying, "You sure you want to continue?" As like his shoulder tape up, and he's like, "You obviously know he's gonna do it." So he's like, "Yeah." And then I was a little bit worried that he's just gonna kick him in the face. And then I'm like, if they end it like that, like
I agree with
you're
that.
I would
Yeah,
have been kind
I'm
of
glad there
really
was.
bummed.
I'm glad there was a match. That
Yeah.
would have been a. That would have been probably too bold of a choice.
Yeah. Way too bold. I mean, like they deserve
Mm.
to kind of go through. And like honestly, when we were screaming at the camera, am I underwhelming? Honestly, this was his coming out party, to be honest. I thought he did phenomenal in this. If he just goes in and just acts like a monster, and every time that someone like we got even new feuds coming in, Archer came out, and Archer looks like
Oh
now
yeah,
Archer and Miro, that's gonna be really cool. Cool. Two guys, two monsters literally just going head to head. That's awesome. We had Dark Order making the save, which is random. Sometimes, like this is what I mean.
yeah.
Like
It
I was a
was
little
right.
confused. Yeah, like I guess they're. I honestly looked at it and I was just like, why are they? I guess they have respect or whatever. But I'm like,
Respect for Darby because like he kind of has the respect for them and like
yeah,
wrestled
that's
10
how
and
like
wrestled. But yeah,
you
I
had
don't
to
know.
dig. You had to dig deep to find the correlation in that. I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I was just I was just happy there was no hokey finish. That was basically what I was kind of hoping for. But honestly, I think like Miro and Darby could always have great matches together. They just that story is so easy to tell, and they just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, Miro, he's really compelling. He's really good.
And his gear was awesome. He was so confident he was going to win. He wears the belt
He,
as on his stuff. I liked how the announcers pointed that out too. This is all the little things that adds up that makes it really cool.
yeah. All right. So before we get into our rockets and anchors and rate the show, let's hear from our man out west, Sharb. Take it away.
What's up? Sharp here with Kicked Attitude Dynamite Review, reporting from my hotel in Colorado. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be on the shows with Chris and Quags for about a month. Workload's a little too ridiculous right now, but I did watch the show tonight. Here are some of my thoughts. Moxley versus Yuji Nagata, for a New Japan fan like myself, was a lot of fun. Love Moxley coming out to Wild Thing. Fits so well. More licensed music like this, please. It really adds to the character. Was disappointed that when Nagata put on his signature armbar, the cameraman didn't know to stick on his face because he does a signature rolling his eyes in the back of his head when he locks it in. They cut to it at the very end, so you got a little bit of it, but it's kind of a bummer. But it was a fun match. I really liked the promo with Guevara, Ortiz, and Hager. I thought they did a solid job, and I love the idea that MJF got Santana detained for using a fork. I thought that was pretty funny. Cody's promo was awful. Content-wise, it was absolutely miserable. Delivery-wise, he did what he could. No one cares about USA versus England. Nobody cares about Anthony Ogogo. This is like Hulk Hogan type stuff when he versed the Iron Sheik or Nikolai Volkov. No one cares about anti-American sentiment. And this part where he was talking about having a mixed race baby with Brandy Rose was incredibly cringeworthy to me. It was bizarre. I just thought this was so bad. I'm not digging anything Cody's done in quite a while. Loved SCU's pre-match promo before the Young Bucks match, and I loved Young Bucks gear. I think they're gaudy, over-the-top gear. I loved Don Callis saying when Chris Daniels was gushing blood over their Jordans, "This is awful. He's bleeding all over those beautiful shoes." I thought that was hilarious. This is the second match in a row that they bled after having the blood and guts last week, so there's just tons of blood. I think the Moxley one was unintentional. I think this one was intentional just because it was supposed to be a big match. A little too much blood, I guess, but I liked the Young Bucks saying, "I'm sorry, I love you," making fun of the HBK Ric Flair thing that happened at, I forget which WrestleMania, but I thought that was great. I thought it was a hell of a match, and then they cut away so quick, which I thought was really strange. This is a pretty big tag team, like kind of one of your tentpole tag teams. They lost this huge match, and then probably 10 seconds later, they were like, "Oh, cut to the back. Moxley and Kingston are doing something." I thought it was really strange. They came back after the commercial and showed it, but I don't know. It was very odd. Christian promo was pretty solid. Looking forward to Seidel versus Christian. Pac Cassidy, they obviously winged it after something went wrong. Cassidy got dropped on his head. It was really clunky. I don't know what to say because obviously something went wrong. Maybe a little impromptu Kenny and Don Callis. I don't know if this was originally still going to be the end to lead to a triple threat or if they straight up just did everything on the fly through earpieces and whatnot. It was very awkward, but it is what it is. Bucks promo was solid, challenging Mox and Kingston, but it was weird that after Kenny was dodging them Kenny refused to try to have a match with Mox and Kingston, that the Young Bucks would just be like tough guys and challenge them. And I don't know, it was just kind of weird. I thought they would try to dodge them as well. I was amused at John Silver being so amused by Hangman Page using a double or nothing pun, because that's the name of the upcoming pay-per-view. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage should be a good rematch. All right, so the Pinnacle segment. MJF was good. Tully Blanchard rambled. Nobody in Inner Circle was honking when they drove up on whatever the hell that vehicle was. Jericho was seen peeping behind before they introduced him. The bubbly bath, they did it with Kurt Angle in the milk. They obviously did it with Stone Cold in the beer. It's so overdone. It looks stupid. I hated this. I thought this was just like a WWE segment after you just had a great, violent blood feud. I don't even mind Jericho being there because we all saw that it was like a crash pad, so him just having an arm brace was fine for me. I do like the idea of Stadium Stampede, which that goes against everything I just said because that's going to be another goofy style match, but I really enjoyed the first one. But overall, I did not like this segment. Loved the Britt Baker JR interview, other than the fact that the background was an escalator. Jade Cargill giving mixed signals saying she's her own boss, but she's still willing to hear some people that want to be her manager. Okay. Loved the Darby promo before his match. I loved the serious tone, so unique. Thought the Darby Miro match was fantastic. I thought they made Darby look incredible and made Miro look like a beast. Darby obviously loses, but I think both people come out of this looking better than they did when they went in. And I liked the involvement of Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. They didn't overdo it. It didn't cost Darby. They were just messing with Sting. Obviously leads to that program. Then you bring in the next program with Archer versus Miro, which signed me up for that. But I thought this match was fantastic. I really, really liked it. Overall, I'd probably give the show a 7 out of 10. It had a lot of stuff that I thought was not great. The main event was my favorite part of the night, and I don't even know what my least favorite part was. I'd probably say the Pinnacle segment, just because we've seen that so many times, and it just reminded me so much of something that would happen on like a modern day Raw, and just no bueno for me. But yeah, 7 out of 10, still decent enough show. All right, see you guys next week.
Nice tidbits, Eric. Agreed on some points, disagreed on other points, but that's fine. We'll go into now our rocket and anchor for the night. What did you think? What's your rocket, Quags?
Oh, my rocket has got to be the SCU Young Bucks match. It was amazing. I was texting multiple people during this match about how awesome it was. So excited, and you love to see just on a Wednesday. I mean, that's what AEW is bringing us, which I think is so cool, is like on a Wednesday, just randomly in the middle of May, 2 weeks from a pay-per-view, not a go-home show, not a follow-up show, just giving us one of the best tag team matches I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, no, that match was amazing. I was going back and forth, honestly. I was thinking about agreeing with you, but I don't know. Going back and forth on the main event, my rocket might have to be Miro and Darby Allin. I think they just did it so well of Miro being this monster. Like, I was just so worried. He came in and it was funny. Like we Eric sent us like a tweet that Darby sent out saying that like when Miro says I'm coming for you, and Darby was like, weren't you the guy that just talked about video games and then didn't do anything? And then I just started cracking up, and I was just like, wow, you're calling out pretty hard. And then it just set off the heat from there, and just like it blossomed into a very fun match. I think like that's what kind of pro wrestling is. It's just like kind of like over the top stuff, but at the same time adds realism to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think both were deserving. All right, what's your anchor?
So I know the Pinnacle Coronation wasn't great, but honestly, you know what my anchor is? My anchor is Santana not being on the show. There must be a reason why he's not, like a realistic, legitimate reason.
Yeah, so you don't like got arrested for the fork.
Yeah, especially when Jericho was on the show. It's like this guy got thrown off a 20-foot thing, and you're telling me that like, oh, but like it's he could be on the show, but you used a fork. You have to stay off the show. That's what I just kept thinking in my head.
Yeah,
I was like,
and like you used a fork, but you threw someone off a 20-foot structure, but you're fine. Like that's not assault.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just trying to think when they just kept focusing on the fork, and I know they're probably grasping at straws of like why Santana wasn't
grasping
there.
At forks.
Oh man, you nailed it right from there. But like the match, like I remember someone unscrewed the turnbuckle and used the metal rod as a weapon. And I'm thinking like, and we're blaming the guy who has a fork. Like I get it's grabbing heat on MJF as in like, oh, you're the guy who pressed charges.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he pressed charges, right? But
he's
it's
locked
stupid.
in a cage. Like everyone's like,
yeah, it's stupid.
Silly to me, but that had to be my anchor.
I'm gonna say Sammy with the champagne gun. They clearly did not rehearse that, and he was struggling to hit anyone. And meanwhile, you have like,
yes, I will admit, at the beginning they struggled.
And you have like FTR looking like they're trying to run, but getting knocked back by the spray. But they like clearly weren't getting hit by it. Yeah, it's fine. It's just a stupid thing, but.
Yeah, it's like wrestling does that so often of like, oh, let's spray a guy with water, and then like they even did it when like Orange Cassidy was feuding with Jericho, that like orange juice like got spilt on him, and then they're like, try and get up and they slip. I'm like, these guys are like pro wrestling athletes that springboard off like ropes, turnbuckles, all that stuff, but as soon as there's liquid involved, it's just like they can't stand up for 5 minutes.
It's like climbing up a ladder in the ladder matches. It's like, is this thing sturdy? Is it sturdy? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead for rating. I'm going to give it an 8. I really loved a lot of it. But the Pinnacle Coronation missed for me. Honestly, if that had been a little bit better, I think I would be in the 9s. But yeah, So I'm gonna go 8.
I agree with you. A lot of these things, a lot of the matches on the show were so good. I didn't hate as much as I think you and Eric maybe just liked some the Pinnacle Coronation and all that stuff. I didn't dislike it so much. I kind of, I guess, looked more at the payoff as in we're getting a Stadium Stampede match and all that stuff. That doesn't give an excuse as in if you just have a crappy promo, but we get a good match out of it, that means it's a good promo. Definitely not. But I thought these matches, the SCU Young Bucks match was great. And even the beginning match, Moxley, it's again, the same thing that I really enjoy about AEW, every show, you're getting something so different every match. I feel like in other shows, to be honest, it's a rinse and repeat type of formula and it gets very boring. The first match can be amazing as in oh, look at all these high spots, these near falls and all that stuff. But I'm not invested in the characters. I don't know who's who. And it's I see the same thing constantly every time. We got to see basically a New Japan match, the first match. We saw an amazing tag team match going back and forth of a very heel team against a very over babyface team. And then we saw literally a monster going against the plucky underdog. It's you get all your flavors in one show, and I think that's really good. I'll give it 8.5. Honestly, I was really sold on this show. I didn't dislike so much of the stuff that maybe you guys disliked. I honestly was watching thinking oh, this show is almost 9 to quality, but then the Pinnacle stuff, it was weird.
No, I agree. I mean, halfway through the show, I was kind of man, this might be the best episode that I've seen.
Yeah, I get excited that second hour coming in.
It was so good though. I mean, they've been on a really solid run, and this is awesome, and especially the wrestling. The wrestling was really great.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, that is going to do it for this week. Appreciate you holding it down with me, Chris. And Sharby will be back soon. And thanks for sending in your videos. So, guys, girls, whatever you identify as, thanks for watching Dynamite with us.
Thanks, guys. No problem, Quacks. You're doing a great job as hosting. Eric would be proud. And also subscribe. Click the little orange box, wherever it's at. Just click it, subscribe to it, like it, comment. Tell us what you like, don't like, or just add on to the conversation. If you guys want to add some your rockets and anchors, go right ahead. No problem here.
We'd love to see it. Yeah. Very cool. All right.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.